Hey Prince, how are you?
It worked.
Hey, I don't know what happened. I was like, this is weird. Nobody showed up.
I know. Well, I was like waiting forever. I'm like, it's 10. She's never
Yeah,
late.
that's funny. I'm gonna repost the link real fast in case
Okay.
anybody else is.
And I'm just going to mute myself because Cece's dancing in the back.
Sounds good. Perfect. Okay. I'm super excited for today. So can you guys hear me? Because my computer is being weird today. I'm like really choppy. Am I choppy to you guys? Okay, perfect. Okay, we will get started then because I have a lot to talk about and I want to make sure that we get through it. But today we're going to talk about different ways that you can work with people, because a lot of times what I run into with people is the fact that they're like, I don't know how to work with people. I don't know what to do. I don't know what options to give. I don't know how to price. Like, I have no idea where to put my pricing. And so today we're going to talk about pricing, and we're going to talk a little bit about different options and ways that you can work with people. So obviously most of us are in either service-based or product-based industries. And so number one, what I want to talk about is the ways that you can work with people. So you can work with people for free, obviously. You can work with people for trade, or you can work with people paid. So you never have to charge if you never want to. So a lot of times people are like, but I don't want a business. I don't want to work. I have this mission, but I don't know if I necessarily want a business. You don't have to have a business, but you can still work with people. You just work with them for free, or you can work with them for trade. So when I first started doing like my market research, obviously I worked with people for free. And then when I did like massage and I needed services, I would trade massage for hair cutting, or I would trade massage for foot zoning, or whatever it may be. I would use what I had to trade somebody else for what they had. And so even I've had people, trade me for babysitting. Like, they want my services, so they trade me for babysitting. Right now, sorry, there's background noise. I'm gonna try to mute everybody. Oops, I just unmuted everybody. Mute all. Awesome. So there's different ways that you can work with people. It doesn't necessarily have to be paid. So like right now, I'm trading my VA work for my Infinite Wealth Engine. So I get 5 months of pretty much free VA help for my class of the Infinite Wealth Engine. Pretty good trade. And so I had something she wanted, she had something I wanted. So ask yourself, what are different things that I can trade if I necessarily can't pay for something? Never be afraid to ask for trade. Now, every once in a while, like, I have a certain amount that I'll trade, and then I'm like, okay, I'm just over trading. Like, I need to start profiting some money now. And so I always limit myself, but I'm always open to trades with people. And so never be afraid to ask for trade. And for those that don't want a business, never think that you can't work with people. You're just obviously working with them for free. So you never have to charge if you don't want to. I will always do free work. I will always give away stuff, always. Obviously, the pros of getting paid is the compensation for time away from your family. People don't realize. So right now I'm getting a bunch of like I don't even know what you would call it. I'm getting a bunch of just ambushed comments on all my Amazon reviews that are quickly going downhill, by the way. But I'm getting a bunch of backlash because I want to charge for my services. But somebody else thinks, well, if I have an answer that can like cure a kid, why am I not giving that away for free? And I'll tell you why. Because I did it first when I was doing all of this market research. And then guess what happens? People start just swarming you. You become this magnet, and people just want your help on everything. And then it comes to the point that you're literally getting asked for help left and right. And if you don't have a place to guide people, like just this morning, I woke up to probably 10 messages worth of questions. Now, that would have taken me probably 3 hours to get through it, because it turns into a big long conversation. But if I have somewhere that I can send people, like, hey, here, like, I have this course that will answer this question, or I have this book that has all of the answers to your questions here. I have a place to put people so that the people that are actually paying me get my time, or else I would never get time with my family. And so Some people look at it as bad that you want people to pay for everything. No, I have like this cheap $10 option, or I have this expensive $5,000 option. I have all of the in between for people. And if they're not willing to pay $10 and read a book, or if they're not willing to like take a course that say is $497 that would change their business, that's on them, not on me. And then I can really see how serious people are, because I know all of you have got caught up in the conversations. And if you think it's just back and forth, I'll tell you right now, those people probably aren't going to follow through anyways. And so you have to ask yourself, where am I spending my time? People that are actually going to value what you have, or people that just want all your free information, which I give free information out all the time too. But if it's like a list of questions, it's like, it's going to take me a long time, and it has to be so personalized that it just depends on the actual person for their answers. And so I have general, that's why I think a lot of people on their websites have like general questions, because they get asked the same questions over and over, and they send them, this is on general questions, go look and ask. So start tracking what are the same questions that you get that people want you to answer for free over and over and over, and then create something, a video or something that you can send them to. Then the other thing is when you are starting to get into whether it's free trade or paid, you want it to be win-win for both parties. It's not just about you, and it's not just about them. Like, people get burnt out because it's not a win-win. Clients get burnt out and they want a refund, or you get burnt out because you're constantly giving. There has to be this give-receive. If there is not this give-receive relationship, it's not going to be a win-win for both parties. And so make sure that you figure out a way, like we were just working with Talisha, and if you guys don't freaking sign up for her like 5-day challenge, you guys are insane, because we've created I shouldn't even say she has created so much value that there's all these free PDFs. You get to learn about color therapy, meditation, her soul purposeful modality that she's doing. Like, and then there's another free PDF. There's all these free things plus free videos. Like, it's a no-brainer that it's like a win-win, because obviously at the end of that, she'll make some sort of offer for her course, but people are going to get results just off of this free thing that she created. And so you have to ask yourself, how am I creating it a win-win? And so creating lots of value, number one, but also value that's not super time consuming. Like, she's obviously not giving away her heart and soul, but she's created a written out, like, here's step-by-step how you do this. If you want to do color therapy, if you want to learn about chakras, that was the other one. If you want to, you know what I mean? And so, and they can take that home and go utilize that with their family. And so giving people too much of, make sure it's a win-win, and make sure you're not giving people too much of your time, and that you're not charging enough. A lot of times you're going to realize where your price range should be. Now, number one, like, if you're starting out and you're like, every other mentor charges $5,000 or $1,000, so I'm going to charge that. It's like you haven't built up that validation. So it's like, if you can't sell a course at $97, it's going to be really hard to sell a course at $500 or $1,000. And so make sure you're creating that validation and that experience, because it's not really a win-win if you're classifying yourself as this mentor, but you haven't had any experience or background behind you. And so a lot of people, especially now, because being a mentor is like this big thing, it's like people just jump on board. Well, so-and-so charges this, so I'm going to charge this. But they don't realize that the results that they have to back them up. And you'll know exactly where your pricing should be by if people buy it. So when I started to up my prices, it's because I was getting 30 people in a $97 course. So obviously, if I'm getting 30 people to convert, and then I could upgrade them from there, obviously I needed to raise my prices. So then I was like, okay, I'll try it at $297. And then I was still filling it up with 20 people. And then I upped it to like $497. And then I just kept upping it from there. You create this validation and this accomplishment energy so that you know you're enough, And you also have the numbers and the amount of conversion rates behind you. And so a lot of people will disagree with me on this one, especially mentors. Like they'll be like, no, you're worth so much more. Go charge $5,000 or $1,000 or this or that. And it's like, but they also, the ones that are telling you that, they started at selling $97 courses, $47 courses. And so the problem is they can easily say that now because they're filling, $10,000 worth of courses. It's easy for them to say it now. But if they actually realize what steps they took to get there, they're trying to teach you something that they didn't do at the beginning. And so I'm telling you, because I did it at the beginning, you have to work yourself up this ladder, and you'll know where you're at by what people are purchasing. So also make sure that you check in that you're not making sure that everybody else wins and you lose. Because a lot of times if you actually I see this a lot with network marketers, like they go to vendor events, they do all these things, they are wrapping free samples, they're sending out free samples, and then it's like, oh yeah, they like made a new rank, but really they made like maybe a couple $100. And if they actually put their driving time into it, their gas time, their vendor event, the setup, spending all day at the event, if they actually put 2 hours what they're making, everybody else wins. The company they work for wins, and because you just did all the work. And now the people that got the product, they won because they have the product, and you feel like you won because you made a couple $100. But if you really put it like minute to minute of what you made, you probably made less than $1 an hour. And so you got to be careful to make sure you're really tracking your numbers and how much time you're putting into something. So I'm speaking this weekend at the Almonds Health and Wellness on gut healing. Now I'm considering it a charity. Like this is my giving. I know I'm not going to profit from it. I just know that. I know that the following isn't high enough. I know that they haven't even started advertising. I know that I haven't advertised. I know that I'm doing it because I want to support another small business and help bring value to their business. I do not consider it anything but a gift. I do not expect anything in return. And so being aware of when you're giving your time to and when you're not. I'm willing to help them out because I believe in their business. And so for me, I charge a lot of money for people to come have me speak. I'm completely doing it for free. I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart, and I'm not making them pay me anything. And so it's okay to do free stuff, but I also go in it knowing I don't expect anything in return. And that's where a lot of people get frustrated is they move forward thinking, well, I'm going to go do this vendor event. I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to pay for that. I'm going to do this. I'm doing this for all these people. And then they get frustrated that they don't get anything in return. When really, if they looked at their history, they would see that they didn't get anything in return before. It just felt like they did. And so also I want you to think about this exchange of energy. So number one, you want to make sure it's a win-win for both parties. And number two, you want to make sure it's an exchange of energy. Whether that be they just give you a testimony, they give you a shout out, they give you money, they give you a service. Like if you're doing a trade, obviously they're giving you a service. There has to be this energetic exchange. If it's not, it's very one-sided and it's not a win-win. So make sure as you're asking yourself what I need to do to create that exchange of energy, I don't care what it is, you just get to decide. So for me, I'm going in this into this thing this weekend knowing that I'm not charging, there's nothing like this. My exchange of energy is they're helping me create a product. Now I'm paying for a lot of the stuff, but I'm using their brain smarts. And so I already feel like I owe them something. And if I ever feel that way, I just hurry and gift something. I do something to get that off my conscience. So when they asked me to speak, I was like, yep, I'll do it, because I already feel like I owe them something, even though in reality I don't, but it's how I feel. And so that's what I do, is you have to have this exchange of energy at some point. If not, you will regret what you're doing. If there's absolutely nothing in exchange, what did I write? You will regret what you are doing. If there's absolutely nothing in exchange for the detriment of your family or other business or whatever. And so if you do not have this exchange of energy, pretty much you're going to regret it. You're eventually you've already created this boundary that you don't expect anything in return. And that's where we get people sucking the life out of us. We get clients that write us and ask us questions all the time. And you're like, my paid people pay for this, but they're like boxering me. Like literally I could look at my Voxer right now, you guys, and I have 17 Voxers right now. Now I have to tell you, none of them are clients. None of them. Now you tell me how long 17 conversations, and I'm not lying, 17 conversations would go if I just allowed people to take up that space. It's not that I don't wish. Like at the very beginning, I helped everybody, but I don't have the time to respond to 17. That's just Voxer. That's not even Messenger. And so you want to make sure there's this exchange. Number 3, deliver 100%. You know, be all in, be happy, like give it your all. Know that no matter what, you gave your 100%. So I don't go just do this thing for free on Saturday and not give it my 100%. I will give it as much as I do a paid class for. I am 100% in on anything that I commit to. And so that's the last one. Play it 100%. That's kind of obvious. But those are kind of like things that I make sure I do. Another thing I want you to really, really think about is having a time limit for all appointments, even if it's free. So if I ever do something free, I'll say, okay, I have 10 minutes on this day that I can chat. Or even if I have nothing, I tell myself I have this amount of time to chat with this person, and make sure you start on time and end on time, because you are creating the boundaries between you and your clients or customers. So if they just expect you, so I was actually kind of blown away because I ordered some makeup, and I'm so used to my makeup person just bringing it to my door all the time. So then when the girl wrote me, she's like, okay, your makeup's in. I was like, well, are you not going to bring it to me? Like I have to go drive and get it, because my other makeup person had created this boundary that I don't have to do that. And now maybe she doesn't do that for everybody. Maybe she does, but I just had bought into the belief that they just deliver it to me. And so I got used to that. And I'll tell you right now, I'll never order from the other person just because I had to go get it. I don't know why. It's my own thing. I shouldn't be that greedy, but I value my time, and I don't have time to go get something. So I only order or buy products or services even that people actually come to me, because that's how much I value my time. And so number 1, there's a bonus. If you go deliver stuff to people, that's an added value you give to your business. Or number 2, respect your time and know that you know where your time is going. And so for me, there was nothing against this person that I just bought makeup from. Same makeup, loved it, awesome. I just don't want to drive. Literally, they live 3 blocks away. I don't want to drive 3 blocks away to go get that. That's my boundary. And so ask yourself, what boundaries have I set up, or values have I set up in my business that my clients have bought into? And I need to make sure that it's a win-win for both of us, that you feel like you're doing it as an added value, or but if you're ever feeling like you're resentful to a certain client or a customer, you need to ask yourself, how is it my fault? Did I set it up that I always gave them discounts and now they always want discounts? And it's your job to reform that boundary if you need it changed, or drop that client, or you're going to get very burnt out. And so number 1, free. Start and finish time is crucial. If you don't manage your time, you literally are not caring about your most precious commodity, is what I wrote. You're literally not caring about the thing you can never get back. I can never get this hour back, ever, 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 ever. And so you have to ask yourself, what is the value that comes with the time that I am putting into something? And so start treating your time like it's as precious as it really is, because you can never get it back. Someone else is hanging out with my baby right now while I'm working. And so it has to be this exchange of energy, which was why when I thought you guys weren't getting on, I was like, heck, like I'm not going to get on if they're not going to get on. My time's precious. And I'm this close to not recording these anymore, just because if people can't show up, why do I give my time? Why do I give my time for people that can't show up? It's just not worth it to me. And so I'm this close to now not recording them ever again. And I understand some people work, some people this, there's always whatever it is that goes on. But majority of people just aren't showing up because I know they're entrepreneurs. I know they make their own schedule. I know that they can put this in their schedule. And so being okay though, I'm not a mean person for saying the recording's not available. You snooze, you lose. Or you choose into a different class versus mine, awesome. You snooze, you lose. And so that's not me being mean. That's me setting boundaries of what I'm gifting to people. Like there's no exchange in energy. And so if I start to feel resentful at all, I need to clear that up immediately. So all trade agreements must be in writing or else it gets really messy, weird, and awkward. So because what happens is when you trade or when you have something that you are exchanging, it can always change along the way. And so, you have to tell yourself, I just had a client tell me that they were trading VA services with somebody. Well, what had happened is that person along the way decided they no longer do VA work. They wanted to, but they would mentor them on marketing instead. Well, this person is a marketing person, so she doesn't need that. She needed the trade for the VA work. And so you have to ask yourself, like, things can always derail, per se. So even trades get in writing. Every single thing you get in writing. I'm getting to the point that I even want to put like I treat everybody like an employee. I want to, like right now, I'm trying to get, it's like pulling nails and teeth to get like old nannies, their social security numbers so that I can write off my childcare, because that's like $1,000 a month that I could write off. And now I know that because I'm probably just going to have to take the cut for all of it because nobody will give it to me, that I now will have a contract that will have their social, that they have to sign, that it's literally like an employee contract. They're an employee of mine. And so that's kind of what I'm going to do for that, because I just missed out on about, $2,000 or whatever it is on a write-off of childcare that I could have wrote off. And so, and one of them has a visa and not a social, so that's a whole nother mess. So you learn as you go. So the trade also has to feel like a win-win. Set boundaries each month of how much time you're going to give for free, how much time you're going to trade, how much time you're willing, even for your paid stuff. How many hours are you going to work? What are you going to make? And so for me, you have to create those boundaries. Any questions before we get into how to create a type of package? Oh, we see some chats. Let's see what we have. How do you get the other person to follow through on their end of the exchange? For instance, doing a giveaway with the other party, supposed to be doing a review and a testimonial on nothing. I love doing, so this is what I would do. I love that you love doing deliveries. Love it. That's an amazing value. I'm not kidding you. Amazing value. And another thing is how to make sure that this is what I would do. I would honestly say, if I don't get the testimony by this day, you'll be billed. Or what you would do is, this is where you get tough though, but then people are like, but then I might lose that customer. And so you have to be okay with it. So what I do is I'd either get it in writing, and then in the writing, in the contract, it says, if you don't deliver the testimony by this day, you will be billed. Or number two, you charge them first and rebate them once they get that testimony. And so those would be the ways that I would do it. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I do. So I do, not necessarily a signed contract or whatever else, but I have written context of this is what I expect from all people who win my giveaways. This is what I expect you to do. And 4 or 5 of them have all agreed to this. The one now has blocked me on social media, so I can't even see anything of her, which is really unfortunate. But hey, whatever, she loses. But the other ones, it's like, hey, you guys aren't following up on your end of the deal, and I've messaged them, and I'm just getting ignored, or I haven't used them yet. And it's not just like it's just samples, because samples I could care less about.
Yeah.
But it's actually giveaway bundles of product of $20 to $50, $60 value.
So here's what I would do. either number one, I would just drop those people and count it as a loss and move on so it's not wasting your energy. Or number two, write them and be like, if I don't get the testimony by this day, you'll be billed this much. So it just depends if you want to keep them as a customer or not, but money surely speeds people up.
Right.
Now, will you get nice testimonies? I don't know, because you may have triggered them. But if it was me, I would honestly probably just count it as a loss. And then the next time you do it, I would do it completely different. And I'd be like, okay, you won my giveaway. Here's how this works. I'm going to invoice you. So to claim this, I need your credit card number. And I won't charge you if I get this by this date. That's what I would do. And then they might not opt in, but then guess what? You saved on product, you can do another giveaway at some point or whatever it may be. So there's lots of different ways you could do it. It's kind of hard because you don't want to like piss people off, but at the same time, like they have to understand and you can explain why you're doing it. This is a lot of money worth of product and I'm doing this for a testimonial. And bad eggs have ruined it for other people. So I have to do it this way now because I've never had somebody follow through. So this is why I'm doing it. That's what I would do. Does that help?
Yes, that's really helpful. I'll definitely do that. I have to run. I got to go run delivery I'm actually doing right now.
Perfect.
Your insight.
Yep, love it. I'm wondering about my doula guide. It is not selling because of my lack of marketing skills or because my pricing is in alignment. Like you were first talking about, people don't buy when you're not. So I'll tell you right now, I think it's a lack of offering. I've never seen your doula packet being sold. Besides, I think at the very beginning, if that was like the workbook that you made, I saw you post that like a couple days. I would say it's a lack of offering versus the lack of pricing. Because I think your price is actually really low for what you provide. You always provide massive value. And so I think it's a lack of offering. The only way you can make money is you guys have to realize that each of us have like 2,000 friends. So that's a lot of posts to scroll through. If you're not posting 8 to 10 times a day, people probably aren't even seeing your posts, which means to be able to sell something, they have to see your sell 8 to 10 times before they'll purchase. And so just showing up and making it be your thing. If you notice, like even Living the Good Life Naturally, they've switched all their advertisement just to magnesium. So they sell all sorts of products, but they mostly focus on magnesium so that they are being like seen as the magnesium people over and over and over and over. And so that's what I would say is just showing up more and being okay with offering. Hopefully that helped. If it didn't, let me know. Felicia.
Okay, so sorry, excuse me. My question is, how do you draw that boundary of like giving added bonuses? So like I have my free half-hour sessions, right, with my Becoming You group. And so we do that, but I find that like I go over 5 or 10 minutes because I am enjoying the conversation. We're having a good discussion and I want to give them more tips because they're engaged and giving that energy back.
So 2 things here. You could just know in your mind that you allow yourself to go 10 minutes over. So you tell them it's 30 minutes, but to add extra value, you could be like, oh, like I see we're going over, but I have 10 more minutes. I'm loving this conversation. Let's keep it going for another 10 minutes. So know what your boundary is. So you tell them it's 30 minutes, but know that really you have about 40 minutes that you could talk to them. But also know the next time they get on the phone with you, they're going to want to do this. The bonus of having shorter conversations is we get to the point.
Right.
You'll start to realize, like even us, you start to realize in our conversations, we don't need a full hour. We get things done very, very quickly. I could get something done for somebody probably in 15 minutes. They don't really need the hour. It just brings more value to be like, oh, you get this whole hour, but really you're just dragging out what you could get done in 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so I would say if you're okay with it and it's something that you're okay with and you don't feel like it's sucking your energy, that's completely fine. But the second it starts to feel like you're sucking your energy, quickly put up those boundaries and schedule. The best way to do that is schedule something right after.
Okay.
And you have to be off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so what we're going to go into now is how to create a type of package. Let me find my page now. So pretty much what a package is like you're grouping a bunch of things together for a certain price point. So for example, they get 3 30-minute appointments for $150. They get 3 60-minute appointments for $275, or they get 3 90-minute appointments for $500. You're placing a value for your time. And so you pretty much go like price, and this is for people that are service-based. If you were product-based, what you would do is you would create 3 different bundles for different prices, if that makes sense. So you have these different bundles or different options for people. But you always want different options. Now, you don't want too many options, because if they have too many options, it's the quickest way to lose a client. So, for example, if you don't, like if they don't have any choice, they're not going to choose. If they have too many choices, they're going to get overwhelmed and they're not going to know what to choose. So keeping it to about 3 is perfect. When people want to mentor with me, I usually give them, here's my 3 packages. And then you have the good, better, best. And 7% of those people are going to buy your highest package. The rest are going to sign up for like your good and better package, if that makes sense. And so just really remembering that if they don't have choices, they can't work with you. They'll choose not to work with you because they don't know. And if they have too many choices, they're going to get overwhelmed and they're going to be like, well, I don't know what the best option is. And so really nailing it down to being like, these are the 3 best options I think for you. Obviously, it goes from good, better, best. It just depends on what your budget is. And so a package just kind of gives you an idea of what people think of you and where you're delivering your content at. So you're going to know by what people purchase of what's the most popular and kind of where to start your baseline at. So if you have, say, let me see if I can screen share. Let's see. Let me see if I can screen share. I'm going to get my whiteboard. So I always do it by this. So here's the amount of appointments. Here's how many they get. Here's the amount of appointments they get, or whatever comes in their bundle. And here's the price point. So I always go by amount, like what the package includes, and then the price point. And so I kind of always start like, okay, so here's the money, here's the appointments. I'm gonna try to write. Here's the appointments, and here's the time or the bundle, whatever you want to put, time, bundle, like the amount they get. And then wait, I messed that up. Appointment, I messed that up. Sorry, this is backwards. Okay, now I'm just going to clear this. Clear all. I'm going to start over. So here's this. So I have this as money, time. So like, oops, time. Okay, why am I doing this? You guys get the point. Time and appointments. So for instance, they get this much, it costs this much for this many appointments or this bundle. And am I doing that wrong? 30-minute appointments for this much money. Why is this not adding up on my thing? Money, time, appointments. Oh, how many appointments? That's why. I'm like, what does that mean? So this is like 3 appointments, or you get 3 products in this bundle. So you guys get what I'm saying. For this much money, $150 or whatever it may be. So I like that you guys like my chicken scratch, but that's kind of what it is. And so I always tell people you have to have like a low, 3 different options, because if you have 3 different options for people to choose from, you have your good, your better, and your best. If you have your good, your better, and your best, you can start to see what people are purchasing. So say like you have a low price point of $125. This is the trick here. So we're going to say this is the money over here because that's just where I put it this time. So here's your $125. So I wrote this example out. So for $125, you get 3 30-minute appointments. Pretty good deal, right? If you guys were like, I wish I could get 3 30-minute appointments with you for $125, sold. Like most of you would say that right now. Awesome. So say I had that package. Then you have this medium package, which is you get 5 60-minute packages for $350. Oops, I hope you guys can read that, for $350. And then you give them like a very big break on this top package. So for instance, for $500, what did I write down? For 5 minutes, you get 5. Oops, this one was supposed to be 30 minutes. So 30 minutes. I'm glad you guys are dealing with this. So that's 30 minutes. This is why I don't write out notes, because I always get confused if I do PowerPoints or notes. So this is 5 60-minute packages. So pretty much this one comes out to be $100 per hour. So they get a whole hour with me for $100. Or they can get, 3 appointments. This is this one-time deal. I'm going to teach you 3 principles. It's affordable, and it's going to make people want to say yes. Because if you can see the price difference points, like if I pulled out my calculator, I'm really bad at math, but calculator, I'm going to pull this out. My computer's really slow. I'll just pull it up on my, okay, there we go. So if we have 125, your guys' face is in my hair, divided by 3. So for a half hour, they're paying $41.66. So that's a pretty good deal for 3 appointments. But if you look at this, if they can have a whole, like if they can get 5 1 hours with me for $100, they're getting way more value up here because they're getting a longer amount of time and more appointments. Because this is a one-time offer. This isn't like, oh, you can buy this at any time. This is a one-time offer. Like, you guys can get 3 appointments with me for $125, 5 30-minute appointments for $350, or this. Now, my regular prices are typically, it's a 3-month program for $3,000 or whatever it may be. Like, that's typically what it is. So this would be like my special that I have going on. No brainer that they're going to want more time with me, more of this. But say if they want to, and I could add, if they want to keep re-enrolling, they can have this price for the rest of their life as long as they continue to keep going. Now down here, these are just one-time things. If you buy into this, awesome. You can have it that one time, and then it goes back. You have to purchase at my regular prices. And so start asking yourself, like, when you do your packages, are you making them a no-brainer? Because a lot of people, if you, I'm taking a massive pay cut, but at the same time, because they could just continue to buy like, that one-time package and then go back to my regular pricing, but I'm consistently thinking of the client. It's a win-win situation. And so you have to ask yourself, and you'll quickly know if people start to purchase that lower package over and over and over and over, then you probably could raise that lower package price. If people are packaging the medium or doing the medium package over and over and over and over, you could probably drop that lower package one and then add the medium and add that medium as your lowest package and then raise it from there. That's typically what I did. So I know that was confusing because when I start talking numbers and try to draw it out, I'm not a visual at all. So it's like I have to try to do it and it never works. And so people are going to tell you how they perceive you by how they purchase. So for me, everyone was purchasing my Meet Your Destiny at $97. Like, I was feeling that like crazy. So then I was like, okay, if I'm feeling like crazy, I need to raise it. So I raised it and people were still feeling it like crazy. So I realized that I have been massively devaluing myself. So this last time I was like, awesome, you know what? I'm going to try to do the Infinite Wealth Engine at whatever it was like $900. Guess what? I filled 8 seats, which that's not 20 to 30 seats, but guess what? It's 8 seats, less people, more one-on-one, which is more valuable for them, longer course, plus, so it was a win for me because I had 8 clients, probably made just about as much money, and then they get more value because it's smaller one-on-one time. And so it can always be this, it doesn't have to be about numbers. Sometimes we think like I could have easily been discouraged and been like, and don't get me wrong, I thought this, well, why didn't 20 people sign up? Well, no, duh, $97, $297, $497, up to $1,000 practically. Like, no wonder people didn't sign up. But guess what? It also brought me higher value people. It's people that actually want to take themselves seriously and move forward versus just those, no offense, but those like hobby moms. It's like, oh, I'm just going to work 3 hours a day. No, these are people that want to work like 9 to 5 every single day, really work their business and make thousands of dollars a month. And so for me, that's kind of how I pick that out. And I always want my courses to be very personal and one-on-one. I never want it to be like a group program feeling, because I feel like group programs, they're great, but if they're not personalized to you, you're not really going to get anywhere. And so for me, it's like they could have spent that money on personal mentoring. And so I want to make sure that I'm providing a win-win situation for everybody. I just want the testimonies so that my program is just freaking awesome and they get out there. And then what happens from there, they have massive results and we move forward from there. And so that's kind of what I had for you guys today. If you guys have questions, make sure you ask. But I wanted to talk about the ways you can work with people, the trade, the free and the pricing, and then how to create packages. It's really important to have 3 different packages. It's really important to recognize what are people buying into, because I see 2 things happening. People start comparing themselves and then they wonder why nobody's buying. And then it's because their price is like the price of like an experienced mentor or an experienced whatever it may be, doula or whatever. Not saying you're not experienced, because you would be considered a very experienced doula, because trust me, you were my doula and I know that. But it's like we see people doing that, or we see people really undervaluing. And then what happens is we don't really want to ever offer it because it's not worth our time to offer it, because we're making hardly anything. And so you have to really ask yourself where you fall in that realm, and ask yourself what your conversion rates are. It's all about tracking your conversion rates. If you're not making sales, why? And if you continue to just throw offers out there or not throw offers out there at all, and then wonder why you're not making money, it's because you haven't figured out the why. You keep moving forward without figuring out the foundation. Yes, Talisha.
Okay, so for me, a lot of people do my lowest package. So how do I convert into the higher packages? Because I do create really good value, but it's like I'm stuck at that lower level. I want to get up to those higher packages.
So you wouldn't even have the option for the lower package. Do you see what I'm saying? So you have to ask.
I'll work on that.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying though? So it's like you want your conversion rate to be pretty high though. Like if you're only having 10 people sign up for your lowest package, it's probably not a smart idea. But if you're consistently week after week after week having everybody sign up for this package, number one, you just want to have that option. If you don't have that option, they have to pick the next lowest option, or you need to provide more value at these higher options. So essentially make it cheaper per appointment for them, but you're getting a bigger chunk at once. So it would be a no-brainer for them to be like, okay, if I'm paying $120 for this lower package or whatever, well, you're going to only like per appointment, then okay, so I'm going to go up here. It's really only going to be you're going to get it for $105 or $110 per session, but you have to buy, say, $500 worth of stuff. It's a win for them, but it's a win for you because you made more in that moment, even though you're making less per hour. Does that make sense? Like you still make more on the sell, or you provide so much more value, like we talked about in our appointment today, that it's a no-brainer. That they also get your course included because you're doing your course anyways, and they get this and they get that, you know what I mean? And so just finding a way to either have value or don't have that option.
Okay, awesome. I think what I'll do is on our next personal call, I'll have you look at those packages with me because I feel like they are good and they are valuable, but I think I'm missing the point. So I think that's something we can do more one-on-one.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Any other questions before we hop off? Janelle.
I don't have a question, but I did have a comment that might be helpful from the other point of view. So for Lindsay, yesterday, she did that live video with Sammy, and I loved it because it was like, even though it wasn't like a Zoom, it was really personal. So it gave like a lot of answers to some of the questions I had, which was mainly, does anything she do, like, would it work for me? Where I didn't want to just, you know, ask her a million questions, but it was nice to just kind of get a feel for what she does do and kind of the areas that she hits on, even though I'm sure she has like a wealth of so much more information that I would love to know. But you know what? I'm so curious now. I am so interested. I'm very likely to work with her one-on-one now, just because it gave me a ton of information in that short amount of time, and it made me feel like, okay, this is probably something that will work for me. You know what I mean?
And if she had a place for you to follow her and see her do live videos all the time, you would be a loyal follower.
Yeah.
And so then her only job would be to make you a loyal follower into a loyal customer. And like you just said, if she knows this much that she's giving away for free, what could she do if I worked personally with her one-on-one? I completely agree. I think it's a lack of showing up, if I'm being honest. And so because she has so much. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Sorry, just got out of the shower, so don't mind all this.
Love it.
I'm glad that you jumped on to share that.
I should screenshot this.
Seriously. But thank you for sharing that, Janelle, because I hate doing live videos. Like, I do not like it at all. It feels awkward. And like, of course, you know, my little subconscious just doesn't feed me the greatest things when I'm doing it. But after I did it, I was like, that didn't feel so bad. So it's just encouraging to hear that I should keep doing it. And I'm just glad you enjoyed it. So thank you.
I did. Yeah. Even if you just did like a couple here and there, you know, just a couple short little snippets of stuff that's interesting or things that you hear that are really common. Because I know that all of a sudden, I don't know if Brittany Henderson has always done little lives, but they're showing up on my Facebook all of a sudden. Because I've wondered, the more I hear everyone talking about her, I'm like, I should see what she does do. And then now all of a sudden I'm seeing little videos of her. And so I'm getting more interested, like, oh, sounds like she probably kind of eats in a way that I would be interested in, you know what I mean? And so even a short little video that she showed chopping onions, I watched it, you know, because to me, it caught my attention, even though it was so simple, and to her, she probably thought it was silly, but I was like, oh, okay. It just becomes more personable. And then I don't know if it's just me or people like me, but I like to know who it is that I'm going to be working with. So if I see them interacting, then I'm like, I feel whether or not it would be someone that would be good for me to work with or that I would want to.
Well, that's awesome. Sorry to interrupt you, Nicole, because like I was asking Nicole about my guide. Well, I have posted it. Of course, I don't post it like 8 to 10 times a day. But I did have the recommendation that maybe I should print off a hard copy of it and then do a live and kind of show some of the pages and talk about it. And so I'm wondering if maybe that would help as well, because the people who have purchased it are like, wow, this is amazing. It's totally worth the money. And so that gives me some confidence to maybe just get on and do that to help sell it.
Yeah.
I think that's a great option. And even if you did a live and showed, like, this is what you got, kind of showed what it is and showed a little bit about it, showed the first chapters or whatever it may be, because I agree with you. I had this conversation with Brittany. I said, I think that, because she was like ready to just shut down her group. She's like, nobody's engaging. Nobody wants anything. Nobody. And I'm like, I'm not seeing it. And you really could ask, like, you could literally do a question, Lindsay, and be like, how many of you have heard of my workbook? And literally just see if people are even responding. Because if nobody's responding, like, most likely there's just zero engagement and no one's seeing it. And so for me, it's not the fact that, like, because you're super valuable. I know what you have to offer. I've seen your workbook. It's like amazing. And it's a cheap way for people to work with you. And so I would say just ask yourself how you can show up a little bit more every single day and create those engaging posts. Like, maybe if you even go back and watch the engagement video of, like, how do I create that engagement around my posts so that people see it more. But we are all, like, we're all sold. But at the same time, I'll be honest, like, I didn't even know you were still doing the workbook thing. Like, I just thought you had moved on to the sleep thing. And so also realizing to not get too confusing with people, like, focus on one thing at a time, which still do the sleep thing because that's what you're selling. But maybe 1 week you're focused on the workbook, the next week you're focused, create those pinwheel themes. So I don't know if we talked about that somewhere, but create those pinwheel themes of, here's my core message, here's sleep education, here's my workbook, here's this. And then spend 1 week on just one theme and create all content around that. So you're on the right track. Any other questions? Awesome. Love it. Okay, you guys are amazing. You're awesome. just keep going. Yes, Talisha.
Oh, I was gonna say goodbye.
Okay, yeah, you guys are awesome. You're amazing. Just keep going, no matter what sabotage hits. You guys have seen all the sabotage I've had, so it's awesome. I'm not letting it stop me. I will get my Amazon reviews back up somehow, and we'll just go from there. So you guys are awesome.